So here we are at last, the end of the Chip arc. I have to admit, I kind of liked this arc more than I thought I would, even though it's still not great. I get that Fives was basically losing it at the end there, and the fact that he was literally drugged probably didn't help anything. But what I find weirdest is the fact that he rants like a crazy person constantly. And it's really hard, especially as a viewer, to take someone seriously when they're ranting crazy like, because believe it or not, ranting crazy like doesn't really engender a lot of confidence in the specifics of your message. It'd be like if I was like, guys, you don't understand, it's the most, it goes all the way to the top, it goes over the top, you have to understand. And then I say something that we know is true, like, I don't know, Right Now Retribution's a crap game, guys, you don't understand, you have to believe me. And it's like, even knowing that, you're just sitting there like, yeah, I get it, dude. Also, I gotta say that Tim Curry does do an excellent job of Palpatine. Not that I'm happy about what happened, but it's still, it is nice to really see him as Palpatine. Notice how relatively subtle Palpatine has started being at this point. In a lot of previous elements, he was, especially in the actual films, he would be overtly evil, like, oh, why don't you come over here and I will kill you horribly. Okay, I'm exaggerating slightly, but you get the point. In this episode, he is understanding, tolerant, respectful, willing to give ground, and trying to make diplomatic connections between other people's thoughts which disagree with his. It's all very understated and subtle and very Palpatine, which is one of the reasons I like it. I also kind of like how the Jedi have basically no involvement in here. I also like the very idea of the clone-only bar. The very concept of having a bar where it's just a bunch of clones and, you know, whatever friends or dates or whatever they bring in, appeals to me more than I feel like I can express. Like, I wish we'd seen that kind of idea from Word Go, because it makes so much sense. If you think about it, the clones are kind of looked at as subhuman by a lot of people, and are treated as basically property, as we've already established many times, not just in this arc, but in the entire series. And, on top of that, the clones have an automatic camaraderie with each other, almost universally referring to each other as brother. So it makes sense that if for social interaction, which they do want and have, they would all congregate at the same place to do it. I just like that. It makes so much sense to me. I also wonder something. When he takes the hat to hide his identity, which makes sense in its own right, I find myself wondering how much of the head tattoos and the stylings that they get was deliberate. I guess it was deliberate either way. Let me rephrase what I'm saying. I wonder how much of it was specifically for identification purposes, or how much of it is being done just because each clone wants to distinguish themselves from the others. In other words, how much of it is for the sake of else, or how much of the sake of it is for the self. Just food for thought. So, of course, Fives just kind of starts ranting madly. It really did take away from quite a bit of the episode when he gets Skywalker and Rex, who actually do want to listen to him and figure out what the hell's going on. And then he's like, okay, you just gotta listen to me, Okay, you know, I already mentioned the manting rantling. But then, well, the thing that really gets to me is when they shoot Fives. Fives has been with us for pretty much the entire show. And you kind of had to know that most of the clones in general die. I kind of referenced that earlier on purpose, because we know that the clones one by one have been dying off. Very few of them survive the Clone Wars. And I like how they have bothered to invest us sufficiently in several specific clones so that those specific clones passing would actually mean something. Because, well, put this into different terminology. Let's say there's a TV show you're watching and, you know, there's a character that's been with you with the TV show for pretty much since season 1, and then the character dies. Now imagine someone else says, why do you care? They're just a human. That's the same general mentality here. We care because it's an individual, not because he's a clone. Anyways, I actually don't have that much else to say about this. Good closer, fun to see, and we'll see where we go next time.